we'll hand out my flowers. Not my kisses, my flowers. I don't know what that was. But
Franco, Tatum gets to hand out kisses, but I don't. Wow.
Dude, hand out my
Tatum
flowers, Rob. I don't have the ability to hand out my flowers tonight. All right, here we go.
There we go.
My flowers presented by Bucket Squad. Get the hottest basketball merch in the game. Go to Bucket Squad. Use code Celtics Talk Weekly at checkout for 10% off your purchase. Rob, you love Bucket Squad merch. We got to get some Bucket Squad merch distributed out here.
I know they're sending some to the house pretty soon.
But Derrick White tonight gets my flowers. 22 points, 5 rebounds, a block. Very efficient from the floor, shooting 50 and 40 splits tonight. Guys, I want to give you a little fact right now. With Derrick White, and I posted this the other day, I can update it now. The Boston Celtics are now 7-0 this month when Derrick White shoots the ball over a 40% clip. They are now 7-0 this month when Derrick White. So when Derrick White is on, now we talk about Kristaps Porzingis being the X factor, might be the X factor. The true X factor might be Derrick White's shooting percent. But he was phenomenal tonight. This is Derrick White coming off of a couple missed games in a row for the Celtics. So to see him also come in, get his legs under him, knock down some shots to really help exceed this lead tonight, it was really important. So my flowers, I think this is the first time I've given out my flowers. D. White is my man, other than Luke Cornett. On a more serious note, Derrick White is my favorite Celtics player. And it's been a little while since we've seen a game like this from Derrick White. So this was a really good Derrick White game tonight and came during a win, which is also really important.
You've made up for that Minnesota game where you missed it. But we won't get into that. But I do want to say this on Derrick White. Just in general, this roster thins out immensely when Derrick White and Kristaps Porzingis aren't playing at a high level. I understand it. Pritchard, 6 Man of the Year candidate. Sam Hauser, these are good. Luke Cornett, they're very great key contributors. But we talk about on a nightly basis, it gets really thin. And I think some of what you've seen recently with Boston is Derrick White hasn't had it every night to really get you going. Tonight, he looked really good. He looked in rhythm. He looked in sync. I mean, he had 4 or 10 from behind the arc, but 2 of them rimmed right out from that left side corner. He looked fresh. He looked ready to go. So I was a big fan. I agree 100% on your flowers. I'd love to hand out a bouquet with you.
Oh, gee,
because
ask me if I care if you agree with my flowers.
See, this is what I'm saying. You can't compliment Justin.
And I do want to just mention, by the way, Sam Hauser has been on the downfall all year long, comes out in Minnesota and hits every time, big shot down the stretch every time Minnesota got back into that game. It was Sam Hauser put him out. This is the expectation for Derrick White. We expect Derrick White to be put in these types of games. So, right. Again, I think my Minnesota flowers are just fine there, bucko.
Whoa, time out. Are you suggesting you gave him to Sam Hauser? You gave him to
Neemias. You're thinking
Did I give him to Neemi? I think I gave Neemi the flowers.
No, it was that Minnesota game. He came in and scored 8 points.
You know what? You know what's crazy? Not to get too off topic. I don't know why you two are talking. I clearly wasn't on the post-game show. Whenever I'm not on the post-game show, I'll text you my flowers. Still, I'll text you my flowers, and you jackasses ignore it and give somebody totally different.
Well, no, that's a good point because this is kind of a redemption moment because the last time we played the Bulls, I think you said Porzingis and we were like,
we gave it to Brown.
This is Brown. So yeah, we got it right tonight.
Not having it. More of the story. I love Derrick White and what he showed tonight.
We got to beat the narrative. Brad Stevens always talked about beating the narratives. Our record for Flowers is so good, and I swear we only have 2 losses. We have 2 losses.
What? When
losses go a long way. The losses go a long way. Is that Chicago game, Minnesota game? Straight up. Wow.
Since I handed out flowers.
Since you've handed out flowers, I think we have not two losses. Definitely not 2 losses. And we have 10 losses since you started.
So what the hell is your point?
I'm saying the rift with Flowers. We've only had 2 mistakes. we had the Jaylen Brown Porzingis mix up, and then
No,
in
that was just
Minnesota you were
Rob.
like
That was
Kata,
just
and I was
Rob.
like,
That was just Rob
how
being
are these
President
Flowers not going to
and I'm
White or
VP.
Hauser
So
tonight?
that's what that was. I got overrided there. That was
Vetoed.
ridiculous. But I also didn't mind because you could have given either one of those two was going to get the award that night. All right, whatever. Who are we playing next? The Pelicans. Let's see if I can guarantee some flowers here. Xavier Tillman. I'm going to give Xavier Tillman. Look at Seamus's face. That's exactly what I wanted. You deserve that. You deserve that. You deserve to go through that
so
phase.
off the
You deserve
cuff.
that.
That is so out of bounds. Like Xavier Tillman has not played. I mean, this would be like giving, I don't even know, JD Davison and Watson flowers. Like Xavier
That's a
Tillman is
shot at
on
Franco. That's a shot at Franco.
but they haven't played. That's the
got my
problem.
flowers. JD got my flowers. JD's an all-star. JD's going to all-star weekend.
In the G League.
Not to get off too top.
Shut
how
up,
does
Coach
that exactly
Rob,
work? He's a rising star for the G League? Is that what it is?
Mhm.
Yes, they have G League.
Okay.
They pick like 5 or 6 people from the G League. Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead, Franco. Talk to me about our boy D White tonight.
I think
Don't say something. Go ahead.
Don't let the camera fall.
Well, Derrick White was cutting to
You
the
flustered him. You flustered him.
I know. I can see the hair on his back sticking up.
Derrick White is really getting to the rim tonight and very active on the defensive end. He was doing his job with Drew Holiday being able to have the stock exchange. I think they were getting a lot of great steals. I think that he is a really big benefactor when the Celtics are playing well. If he's scoring around 15, 20 points a game, that's exactly where his sweet spot is. And that means he's taking efficient shots and he's not chucking up a whole bunch of shots throughout the entire game. If we are being able to get his contributions not only in scoring, but on the defensive end and in facilitating, he's going to bring us a long way, especially heading into playoffs when you have matchups against other guards and you see the aggression in Drew Holiday's game as he gets older.
Derrick White, well, we have an X factor in Kristaps Porzingis. Can we bring in a Y factor with Derrick White? Because ultimately, Derrick White, Kristaps, he's been playing well, but even amidst the whole playing well, the Celtics, they don't always win those games. I still believe Kristaps is the X factor from this team going from really good to potentially all-time great team. But Derrick White is what really brings the wins around for this Boston Celtics club if everybody else is contributing to their normal standards. Because if Derrick White, we saw him do it last season. When Derrick White is putting up those near 30-point games and even over 20-point games, the Celtics, they rarely lost in those occasions. And Justin, you gave that stat earlier about how Derrick White, when he shoots over a 40% clip, the Celtics are nearly unbeatable. And that's really what it feels like when he comes to play, is when he is on his A game on both ends of the floor. And that's what's a little odd about Derrick White this season. He's not always been there on both ends of the floor this entire year. But when he is, the Celtics team is extremely hard to beat because Derrick White, we forget about the conversation. I mentioned this on last post game, but I'm going to mention it yet again. He was a part of the backcourt last season that was considered to be potentially the greatest defensive backcourt in all of NBA history, with between him, Derrick White, and Drew Holiday. That's what it was, and that's what it is potentially this season as well. We haven't seen the results play out the way we've expected, but we still know those two players' abilities. And Derrick White, he still has the ability to not only affect the game on the defensive end of the floor greatly, but offensively as well. Coming into this Celtics team nearly 3 years ago, can you guys believe we're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of Derrick White being traded to the Celtics from the San Antonio Spurs? When Derrick White came in, he changed the complexity of the Boston Celtics simply because of his IQ and his brain power. Derrick White, he was the most efficient Celtics player on that 21-22 squad coming into that squad mid-season. And going forward, he was efficient in 22-23. And last season, he went beyond, because that last year, his confidence turned up to a new level and he started doing things in which we never expected Derrick White to do, which was shoot at a high volume, score at a high volume, and not only do it from beyond the perimeter, but do it at the rim as well, while he's also bringing that playmaking to the floor. And Derrick White, when we see that out of him this season, that's when the Celtics are at such an elite level, because when you have Brown and Tatum going, you have Kristaps Porzingis doing something like he did tonight, 8 3-pointers. And then you have Drew Holiday, which Drew Holiday, again, he's kind of that in the background player on the Celtics offense. We talked about a lot last season where he's taken a huge, I don't want to, I almost said step back, but it's a huge sacrifice for him to be playing on the Celtics squad, because Drew Holiday this season, the word regression, I would say, is actually appropriate for Drew Holiday, and he has taken a little bit of a step back this season. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the conversation is not on that right now. It's more of the fact he is that player that takes the sacrifice upon himself and goes, I'm not going to be the ball handler every single possession. I'm going to do all of the little movements on the offensive end of the floor, whether it's standing in the dunker spot, standing in the corner, cutting at the right times, screening at the right times, doing all the little things on offense that really makes the offense run efficiently. That's what Drew Holiday can do on the offensive end of the floor. But Derrick White, he can do all of that, but he can do more with the ball in his hands. And that's what we're starting to see from him as of late. He's starting to make better decisions with the ball in his hands. I don't know what was going on there with Derrick White for a while in December and at the beginning of January, where we really saw Derrick White. There were a lot of mental lapses, specifically on the offensive end of the floor. We saw him defensively too, but offensively, Derrick White, he was one of the main culprits of this Boston Celtics team jacking up shots. 100% it was Derrick White, Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, just jacking up shots. Kristaps Porzingis. And it was, I'm going to jack off the catch. I'm going to jack off the dribble. I'm going to jack right away, right now, in front of everybody. The Celtics just jacking all over the place. And ultimately, Derrick White, come on, guys. Come on. You guys are children.
Shut up, dude. We're going to mute you. We're going to mute you if you don't shut up.
Let me just say this. I don't know how the first couple got them. It's like, okay, God, this is Seamus on a postgame show. And then you really went for it.
But you guys know what I'm talking about. 3-point shots. All those 3-point balls going up in the air. Balls everywhere. But ultimately, Derrick White, when he has the ball in his hands, he has to make better decisions with the basketball in terms of making the extra pass. We saw in the breakdown against the Dallas Mavericks, he getting that pump fake up in the air, putting his defender off kilter, and then driving towards the rim, creating the options for himself. Somebody in the dunker spot, whether it's Luke Cornett, whether it can be Drew Holiday on some occasions. And then, of course, going and finishing, either throwing that lob, throwing that little dump down pass, or finishing with that floater, or even against the Orlando Magic, we go to that game. He was all over Paolo Banchero and going towards the rim and really finding those open lanes and finishing for wide open layups. And that's just what comes with Derrick White in terms of his plays. We want to see that good decision making. We've seen it a lot in the past. This season, it kind of went away there for 2 months, but I think gradually right now, if we want to bring out a point of optimism from this last Celtic stretch, despite the back and forth, if we do look at individual performances, there's a lot of good to say about individuals on the Boston Celtics, which of course we want to play as a whole team and not just a team of individuals. But at the same time, Derrick White, he is gradually coming along in terms of getting that decision making, specifically on the offensive end of the floor, back to where it was last season and even before that with the Boston Celtics, which was this highly efficient playmaker / scorer who could just contribute not only for himself, but for everybody else on the team. When Derrick White is doing that for the Boston Celtics, they are truly an elite basketball team. And yes, we have our X factor in Kristaps Porzingis, but if we had a Y factor, it's Derrick White.
Hold on. That X factor isn't a Celtics Talk Weekly X factor. I don't stamp that. That's not my X factor. Drew Holiday. Shout out my guy. He can be yours. Okay. It's not mine. Okay. I got like 5 X factors.
No, but this is the great part about the Celtics. There are so many that we had this conversation so often last season. It's like, who is the true X factor? And it could be anybody on any given night. And that's what can still make this team a dominant team on some occasions, and even what gives us a lot of hope that they can still go back to back, because all these players, they're still around. They are still around on the squad and can still, we see it I shouldn't say few and far between. It's been inconsistent more so this year, but we see it out of these players. We see, it can be a Kristaps night tonight, 34 points. It can be a Jason Tatum take over the game. Last time we played the Chicago Bulls, we throttled them in Chicago. Jason Tatum put up his best stat line of the season, a 43-point triple-double. We saw against the Dallas Mavericks, Derrick White, Drew Holiday. They won the awards that night, Player Spotlight and Flowers. So it can be any other, that is really a great point on this Celtics team. It just can be anybody on any given night. And that's great that we can have that conversation about this team, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't know who the X factor is on the Washington Wizards right now, but I don't know if they
Malcolm
have one.
Brogdon.
I don't know if they have one.
I don't think they have one. Yeah.